Netflix's One Piece live-action adaptation has managed to do something no one expected. It fixed parts of the anime. The expectations were high when the series was first announced, as One Piece has one of the most dedicated fan bases in the world. For years, the anime's charm and over-the-top characters have captivated audiences, but not everything translated well, especially when it came to bringing the world to life in a live-action format. The challenges were significant, but surprisingly, the show managed to make some key adjustments that improved upon the original material. What made Netflix's adaptation stand out was its ability to modernize certain elements of One Piece without losing the essence of what fans loved about the original. From refining characters to altering plot points, the show made thoughtful decisions that made the story more relatable, the characters more grounded, and the stakes more personal. This was a big challenge, but Netflix's One Piece, surprisingly, made great adjustments that made the story even better and brought new perspectives to the beloved characters. 6. Sanji's charm is redefined in the One Piece live-action. How Netflix's Sanji took a more respectful approach. Custom image of anime Sanji and live-action Sanji custom image by Simone Ashmore. In the original anime, Sanji's flirtatious nature is often exaggerated to the point of absurdity. While this trait is part of his character's charm, it sometimes comes off as crude or borderline disrespectful. The live-action series took a more nuanced approach, dialing down the relentless drooling and awkward behavior, and making Sanji's interactions with women feel more authentic and respectful. His flirtation in the live-action version is still there, but it is tempered with more personality and maturity, which works much better in a live-action context. By focusing on Sanji's charm and wit rather than his cartoonish infatuation, Netflix allowed the character to retain his essence without making his flirting overwhelming. This change made Sanji a more relatable figure and ensured that his character was grounded enough to fit into the live-action world without losing what made him lovable in the anime. In turn, this alteration made his character development, particularly his backstory and motivations, more impactful as the show progresses. 5. Usopp's nose goes from exaggeration to realism. Why the new nose works better in live action. One of the most iconic features of Usopp's character in the anime is his exaggerated, comically large nose. While this trait worked well in the animated world, it did not translate as effectively to live action. Netflix's decision to omit the long nose was a clever move, ensuring that Usopp's character felt more grounded and realistic in a live-action setting. The live-action Usopp has a far less exaggerated nose, allowing the actor to focus more on his performance and the emotional depth of the character. By removing the overtly exaggerated nose, Netflix allowed Usopp's personality to shine through in a more natural way. His insecurities, his courage, and his ambition as an adventurer and sharpshooter became more believable, making it easier for the audience to connect with him. This change also allowed the visual focus to be on his emotional journey rather than a comedic gimmick that might have distracted from the character's core traits. Don Krieg is focused on less. How Netflix made Don Krieg more impactful. Don Krieg in Netflix's One Piece. In the anime, Don Krieg is a character that gets a lot of screen time, but his arc often feels overblown and unnecessary. The live-action series made the wise decision to scale back Don Krieg's role, making his appearance more focused and impactful. Rather than being a primary antagonist for a long arc, Krieg is introduced as a more streamlined villain with less emphasis on his exaggerated abilities and more focus on his ruthlessness. This change in approach made Don Krieg's role feel more grounded and less like a filler villain. By reducing his screen time and making his arc more concise, Netflix allowed the story to flow more smoothly while still introducing a memorable antagonist. This approach also gave the other characters, especially the main crew members, more room to develop and shine without being overshadowed by an unnecessarily prolonged conflict with Krieg. Garp was at the execution of Roger in the live action. Garp's struggle between duty and personal ties. One of the most surprising and well-received changes in Netflix's One Piece live action was the decision to introduce Garp earlier in the story, specifically during the execution of Gol D. Roger. In the anime, Garp's backstory and significance are built up over time, but the live-action series chose to explore his character in more depth early on. This allowed the audience to see a more complex side of Garp's character, particularly his connection to Roger and his role in the Marines, which worked well since the live-action is notably shorter than the anime.